red hoodie, driving through the vast, empty plains of Colorado at night can make you feel like you're the only person left on Earth. Last July, I had that exact feeling during a late-night drive from Omaha, Nebraska to Denver, Colorado. The roads were deserted, with nothing but the occasional distant farmhouse light breaking up the darkness. 1 to 76 stretched endlessly before me, a ribbon of asphalt through an ocean of black. It was around 1 a.m. and I was running low on gas. The dashboard light flicked on, cutting through the faint glow of the stereo. I cursed myself for not filling up before I left Omaha, but what can I do now? The next exit loomed ahead, and with no other options, I decided to take it. Town was Julesburg, Colorado. Population barely over 1,000. It was the kind of small town where time seemed to stand still, a relic of a bygone era. The streets were dark and deserted, the only illumination coming from a single gas station sign flickering weakly in the distance. As I pulled into the gas station, the place had an almost surreal quality to it. It was like stepping into a David Lynch film, eerily quiet with an unsettling hum in the air. The station itself was ancient, with peeling paint on the pumps and a small convenience store attached to the side. I parked by one of the pumps and got out, the night air biting at my skin. The sound of the pump clicking into place echoed loudly in the silence as I started fueling up. That's when I saw her. She was sitting on the curb near the entrance to the gas station store, just a few feet from where I stood. A girl, maybe 16 or 17, wearing a red hoodie that looked a little too big for her. Her dark hair hung loosely around her face and she was staring off into the distance, completely still. First, I thought she might be waiting for someone, maybe a parent or a friend who had gone inside, but something about her struck me as off. She had no phone, no bag, no car parked nearby, and she didn't look worried or impatient, just detached, like she wasn't really there. I shook it off. I was tired. I'd spent hours on the road with nothing but the occasional podcast to keep me company. Maybe I was just overthinking things. Once I finished fueling up, I decided to go inside to pay and grab a coffee. The convenience store was as rundown as the rest of the station rows of outdated snacks. A faded Pepsi machine in the corner and an old clock ticking loudly behind the counter. The clerk was an older man with a weathered face, wearing a plaid shirt that looked like it had seen better days. He greeted me with a gruff nod as I handed him a $20 bill. While he rang me up, I casually mentioned the girl outside. "Is she okay?" I asked, gesturing toward the door. "She's just sitting out there, doesn't look like she's with anyone." The clerk froze, his fingers hovering over the cash register. He looked up at me, his face suddenly pale. "What girl?" he said flatly. I frowned. The girl in the red hoodie sitting right by the door. His eyes narrowed and he gave me a look that sent a chill down my spine. "There's no one out there," he said firmly, almost like he was trying to convince himself. I turned to look through the glass door, expecting to see her sitting there, but the curb was empty. My heart skipped a beat. She'd been there just a few moments ago. I laughed nervously, trying to shake the unease creeping up my spine. "Must have walked off," I muttered, though I didn't really believe it. The clerk didn't respond, just handed me my change without another word. His eyes lingered on me as I left the store, like he was waiting for something to happen. When I stepped outside, the air felt colder, heavier, as if the night had suddenly thickened around me. I scanned the area, but there was no sign of the girl. The lot was completely empty except for my car. Trying to brush off the weirdness, I climbed back into the driver's seat and started the engine. The car rumbled to life, and I took a deep breath, ready to put Julesburg and its strange gas station behind me. But as I adjusted the rearview mirror, I froze. She was there, sitting in the back seat. My heart felt like it stopped entirely as I stared at her reflection. She was sitting perfectly still, her head slightly tilted, those same empty eyes boring into me through the mirror. I whipped around to look directly at the back seat. Empty. There was no one there. I turned back to the mirror, my hands shaking on the wheel. The seat was still empty. Had I imagined it? I didn't want to stick around to find out. I slammed the car into gear and sped out of the gas station, my tires kicking up gravel as I merged back onto the highway. The headlights cut through the darkness, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. For the rest of the drive, I kept glancing in the mirror, half expecting to see her sitting there again. Every shadow, every flicker of light on the empty road felt like her. My pulse pounded in my ears, and I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles turned white. When I finally pulled into my driveway in Denver hours later, first thing I did was check the back seat, opened the car door and peered inside, half dreading what I might find. But it was empty just as it should have been. In the weeks that followed, I couldn't stop thinking about that night. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I was just exhausted. Maybe my eyes had played tricks on me. But deep down, I knew what I'd seen. A few days later, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to look up Julesburg. What I found made my blood run cold. There were local rumors about a girl who had died near the gas station years ago. According to the story, she was a teenager who had gone missing after being dropped off at the station late one night. Her body was found in a nearby field weeks later, but her killer was never caught. The details were scarce. I couldn't confirm whether the story was true or just another urban legend. But one thing stuck out to me: the last time she was seen, witnesses said she was wearing a red hoodie. I haven't driven through Julesburg since, and I avoid late-night gas station stops whenever I can. But sometimes, when I'm driving alone at night, I still feel the urge to glance in the rearview mirror. Because even now, I can't shake the feeling that she's still out there waiting for her next ride.